February 25th, 2026, Modi lands in Israel. India and Israel sign agreements on defense cooperation, joint development frameworks, missile defense systems, and technology transfers. Netanyahu had described his version of a hexagon of alliances with India as a central pillar. Modi flies back home on 26 February. In less than 48 hours, 200 Israeli jets and 100 of American Tomahawks strike Iran. And one question quietly starts circulating in every foreign minister on earth. Did India know? Here is the more important question. Why does every side in this conflict need India? For most of the modern history, India was the largest arms importer. Think about what does that mean in business perspective. You are completely dependent on someone else's supply chain, someone else's technology, and someone else's pricing, and someone else's political decision. That's not a position of strength, that's a customer relationship. And customers don't have leverage. India decided to change that. And the shift happened through a deliberate decade-long strategy of building domestic capability and then proving it in the real world. 9 months before the Israel visit, during Operation Sindhur, India deployed 36 warships into the Arabian Sea. INS Vikrant, India's first homegrown aircraft carrier, led the fleet, combat ready in 96 hours. Pakistan's navy never left the port. Israel's drones suppressed the enemy's air defense. India's S-400 intercepted incoming threats in the live combat for the very first time. BrahMos Missile struck 11 Pakistani air bases. Pakistan's Prime Minister later admitted his force had 30 to 45 seconds to assist each incoming missile.
Through drone attacks, through missiles, and they have also taken innocent lives. They have destroyed mosques. They have also damaged the public.
They couldn't even intercept a single one. And then phones started ringing. 15 countries lined up to buy BAMOS, from Southeast Asia to Middle East, all asking the same question: how fast can we get it? India went from the world's largest arms importer to the growing arms exporter almost overnight. That's not a military story, that's a manufacturing story, and that's a product story. Let's talk about BrahMos, because this product explains India's entire strategy. BrahMos is a supersonic cruise missile, and it moves at nearly 3 times the speed of a sound. But speed isn't what makes it dangerous. It flies low, below most radar detection threshold. By the time it shows up on radar, there is almost no time to respond. And if you were pitching this as a product, speed is performance, low altitude is stealth, and precision is the user experience. And here is what makes it genuinely interesting business case. It was developed jointly with Russia. India didn't build it from the scratch. India licensed the core technology, integrated it in their own system, and refined it operationally, and then took it to the market. That's not a very different of how Samsung built its early semiconductor business, or Taiwan built TSMC, starting with licensed technology and then developing the proprietary capabilities on top. The result? A battle-tested product that no competitor has ever matched the price point, with a proven real-world deployment. That's why 15 countries are buying it. But here is the bigger strategic story. India didn't just build one product. India built the entire network of technology relationships, deliberately with every major player simultaneously. From Russia, India has BrahMos missile technology and S-24 air defense system. From Israel, drones, sensors, and joint missile defense frameworks. From the US, aircraft engines, naval cooperations, and technology partnerships. From France, Rafale jets. And inside Iran, India built a Chabar port, a trade gateway into Central Asia, bypassing Pakistan entirely. Now, the US revoked India's sanction waivers for the port in September 25. India negotiated a 6-month extension, and the future of that port is still being worked out. But here is what that story actually tells you. Even when America tried to pressure India out of the strategic asset, India doesn't simply comply. It negotiated, it bought time. it kept the options open. India deliberately built supply relationship across nations. US and the Russia are not allies. Israel just struck Iran, and India has active partnership with all of them simultaneously. In supply chain terms, this is exactly every major corporation tries to do. Reduce single source of dependency, build redundancy, and make yourself too embedded in too many relationships to be cut off. India did this at a national scale across multiple geopolitical fault lines. That's not a foreign policy, that's risk management. Now here's a data point that puts everything in context. The Strait of Hormuz is 21 miles of water. 50% of the India's crude oil flows through it. When the conflict escalated and Iran moved to the restricted access, 150 tankers were frozen. The tanker Skylight was stuck with 15 Indian nationals on board. Crude prices shot to $80 per barrel. India's reserves cover up to 74 days of consumption. For one of the largest economy on earth, that's the existential supply chain risk. Most countries in this position would call Washington, hoping someone else would solve this issue. India had already solved it years earlier. Operation Sankalp has kept Indian warships in the Gulf water since 2019, not as a reaction to its crisis, as a standing operational posture. India doesn't just buy oil through Hormuz. India has built the infrastructure to protect its own access to it. It's a vertical integration at the geopolitical scale. And then here is the human dimension. Over 400 million Indians live in UAE, 2.5 million in Saudi Arabia, 1 million in Kuwait, and 700,000 across Oman, Qatar, and Bahrain. That's close to 10 million Indian citizens across the Gulf. If this crisis escalates, and if airspace is closed, and if sea routes are closed, they are trapped. India already holds the Guinness World Record of the largest civilian evacuation in 1990 Kuwait, 170,000 people in 63 days. But 10 million is 94 times that scale. No country has ever attempted an evacuation at that scale. So here is what the real story is about underneath all the geopolitics. India spent decades as a customer, dependent, import reliant, reactive, and then it made a decision to become a builder, to manufacture capabilities, not just purchase it, to build supply chain instead of dependent on them, to create leverage instead of asking for a favor. The agreement signed with Israel aren't just the technology transactions, they are the proof of what happens when a country successfully executes that transition. The world isn't coming to India because India has missiles. The world is coming to India because India built something nobody else built. A position of genuine, non-coercible strategic leverage through technology, through manufacturing, through deliberate supply chain architecture. And that's the real story. Technology and manufacturing don't just build products, they build power. India is the clearest example of that playing in the real time. And this is exactly what this channel is about and has been tracking since day one. If you want to understand how business and technologies are reshaping who actually runs the world, subscribe to this channel because we are just getting started. Thanks for watching it, and I will see you in the next one.